Welcome, welcome to another episode of Road to Recovery with your host, Recovery Lord. I know y'all don't see me as much as I was at one time. Shout out to the YouTube algorithm for it taking 2 weeks for me to upload a recovery group, and I gotta go through so many hoops. To be honest, it has partially discouraged me. I feel like if since I'm in Baltimore, if I was doing dirt bike videos or the park height strut, then those videos would go right through without a question of a shadow of a doubt. But lo and behold, we doing recovery, so we got what we got. And so shout out to all the people who keep hitting me up and saying they don't care about the algorithm and this and that. They want another group. Where is the new groups at? So here will be one of those new groups. And today, what do I want to talk about today? Setting boundaries in early recovery. Setting boundaries in early recovery. But we learned in previous groups that whatever is good in early recovery is also applicable in middle and late recovery as well, in recovery in general. So setting boundaries in early recovery. If you are anything like me, you may have grown up in a relatively dysfunctional home where boundaries set by parental figures were either harshly inflexible, meaning you couldn't do a damn thing. It was like growing up in the military, over involved, or altogether lacking. That was me. There were no boundaries. I largely raised myself to a degree. Hope I did a good job. When parents are strict or detached, children learn to stifle their emotions and avoid close, intimate relationships. Families such as these tend to abide by the law of outward appearance. There are a lot of people that are more focused on outward appearance these days, and that is really broadcasted on social media. Some people who just on there 24/7 relentlessly, all these pictures, all these smiling pictures be some of the saddest people. As long as everything looks presentable and orderly to the outside world, what happens behind closed doors is of little importance. Crying is for the weak. Children are meant to be seen and not heard. This is the era I'm from. They used to say, what, little pigeons have big ears, or children are to be seen, not heard. That was straight up. That's the Graffiti Raymond era. That's me. And crying is for the weak. If I had $1 for every time I heard that, then I probably have $5 or $6. Parents that are heavily enmeshed in the lives of their enmeshed in the lives of their children will typically allow them little personal space or privacy. This pattern of involvement will frequently result in individuals who have a harshly limited sense of personal identity. Families that are deeply interreliant will often become somewhat codependent on one another. That's when you constantly hear this blood is thicker than water. And you got people who can't even have a relationship because their boyfriend is also their mothers and their aunts, and it's like 4 different people. And even if it's not just physically sharing, they trying to share his money, his resources. They trying to share his time. They damn sure try to share his car. and you giving all these people rides and all this crap, it's a lot. That's a lot. And the concept of setting personal boundaries will never be considered. This recurring sense of obligatory self-sacrifice, coupled with the inability to say no, can lead to severely compromising circumstances down the road, especially in the lives of recovering addicts and alcoholics. As a part of addiction recovery, addicts will learn the importance of setting boundaries and of respecting the boundaries of others. That's a good point, because we always thinking when it's talking about setting boundaries in early recovery, it's just about the person trying to recover, trying to tell their friends, their homeboys and their homegirls, hey man, I'm on a different time right now. It's a different chapter in my life. I'm not going down Turn Up Tuesdays and $2 Tuesdays with y'all anymore. But it's also setting boundaries is also you respecting the boundaries that somebody else has already set up. Frequently overlooked, the act of respecting boundaries others have set is equally as important as setting them themselves. One of the many gifts of addiction recovery is the newfound sense of self-awareness. Setting healthy boundaries allows this newly established authenticity of self to be expressed, respected, and further developed. And once the skill of healthy boundary setting has been fully honed, tuning into your inner voice and effectively communicating feelings and thoughts with others around you will quickly become second nature. So this is something that, even if you don't get right away, and some people say, oh yeah, I have no problem doing that, but it's usually a one side. When people setting boundaries, sometimes in certain family settings, especially if it involves your kids and all that, it's a collaborative thing. It's not just you telling somebody I'm communicating, but in communicating, I really mean I'm giving you an order and I expect you to follow it. Communication is giving the other side a chance to be heard as well. It's not just doing all the talking. And people love that. They love to hear themselves. They swear they the deepest thing since, Nelson Mandela or the messenger, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Like, shorty, relax, okay? The same way you want to be heard, others do as well. So any form of healthy communication involves you speaking, absolutely. But it also involves you giving the other person you're in a conversation with the ability to say something back. So setting personal boundaries. In order to set personal boundaries, you must first consider what kind of treatment you deem acceptable, as well as what qualifies as appropriate treatment of others. You must develop an unwavering, or at least firm, set of moral standards and personal beliefs. You must figure out what you deem too intrusive, what you personally feel comfortable with. Listed below are several steps you will need to take in order to establish a solid set of personal boundaries. So before you do this, you need to know where you stand. You need to know what your values are. You also need to understand and acknowledge that where you stand and where your values are, they're yours. So you can't make the entire world bend the knee like you are the queen of dragons, the breaker of chains, XYZ. Her resume was off the chain. So stop making it seem like, you're God's gift to the world. and the way you like things, it's supposed to be law by now. And take heed, hear ye, hear ye. So first, number one, consider your sense of self-worth. First step in setting personal boundaries and establishing this is to consider your sense of self-worth. Prolonged active addiction is a severe self-esteem crusher. While actively using all of our previously regarded ethics and standards tend to fall by the wayside entirely. We find ourselves doing things we never thought we had the capacity to do, treating those we care deeply about in ways we never would have deemed acceptable. Because our actions go against our internal grain so severely, our sense of self-loathing is usually amplified considerably. And because we continuously engage in actions we have long since classified as bad, we begin to sincerely believe that we are bad people. In order to set self-respecting boundaries, we need to build up our self-esteem. It is important to remember that what we did is not a reflection of who we are. You can't be stuck in the past. If you are stuck in the past, then you are stuck in a regretful state. You're regretful of decisions you made, of money you blew, of situations you allowed to play out and happen and compromise yourself in. And, one thing they were talking about in church Sunday is going from the regret to a reset. So, and that bridge between those two things is going to be you having a why you're trying to get better, is forgiveness, is finding a purpose. All of these things help you build a bridge that's going to help you travel from your regrets to a potential and possible reset. So consider your self-worth. You've been down in the dumps a lot. Sometimes when you let certain things slide in the past, especially here in Baltimore, people act like, oh, you let me do it 2 times. By the 3rd time, I don't want to hear that you done been reading books and found some new stuff out. Or where you learn such fancy schmancy words from. But what you did is not a reflection of who you are, especially when you weren't in the driver's seat and you probably was allowing your addiction to do the thinking for you. But you gotta acknowledge that this is what was happening and was going on. Because if you don't know, you can't fix. Number 2, gain an awareness of your needs. Number 2 is to gain an awareness of your needs. In order to set healthy boundaries, you will need a comprehensive understanding of your own personal needs. What are your basic requirements? Because we tend to get so dramatically out of touch with who we truly are while deep in the throes of our addiction. Self-awareness is a process that will inevitably take time. Once your needs are established, make sure that you are actively asserting them. Do you need an hour at the end of each day to meditate, unwind, or to be alone? Stay true to that necessity. Learn to say no. Do you need time to think your own thoughts instead of people? Because once you're a good problem solver, people come out the woodworks giving you problems. Do you need time to think your own thoughts? That doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't. Take that. Do it. It's what you need. Learn to say no. and not K-N-O-W, but capital N, lowercase o. 3, ascertain or come to understand your emotional state. Get in touch with learn where you are emotionally, maybe where you're hurt. Are you hurt in your childhood? Are you hurt because of relationship, a divorce? Somebody has passed and you have been spending years grieving. You got to know where you're hurt so that you could either try to find and make a way of peace, some form of peace with that pain, or you can start thinking about possible remedies. Pausing before reacting is something that most of us lack extensive experience in. We tend to be somewhat impulsive, lashing out in anger or swiftly blaming others without stopping to consider the origin of our feelings. Processing our emotions and communicating calmly and effectively. This is a skill we must learn in order to set firm and successful boundaries. And it is one that we will certainly not master overnight. Practice identifying your emotions as they arise and coolly communicating them with those close to you. I'm going to say this too, because all boundaries are not just external and other people. It's also something called internal boundaries. Internal boundaries, or also affectionately known as self-control, self-discipline. Stop always waiting sometimes for other people, because some people's boundaries are based on what other people say or not say. So some people are going to keep asking if they realize you have a problem saying no, or you have an inability to say no. They're going to keep asking by the time you finally say no, oh, so-and-so switched up. You know, they acting different now. And that ain't nothing but that chick that they dealing with. Because before he met her, you know, he ain't had no problem letting his cousin come over and blah, 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 blah. Yakety schmackety. Number 4, trust your gut. If you begin to feel uncomfortable, it is likely that a personal boundary is being compromised. Listen to your instincts. If something feels wrong, chances are it actually might be. Trust yourself. But in order to trust yourself, you got to keep your word to yourself. You got to, set limits, say I'm only going to do this, and keep it. When you do that, you start trusting yourself more. Number 5 is set limits. Once you become more aware of how you feel, you deserve to be treated, setting boundaries will become easier. Setting limits with those you love can be difficult, but it's important to remember that your own well-being should always come first. And understand this, when you constantly choose to hold on to an addiction and not work on shit, this is why some people not answering the phone for you. Because don't nothing hurt a person who's struggling and want to even ask for some money. Nothing hurts them more than a person not even answering the phone so they can ask for it. But see, sometimes when people talking about these boundaries, they talking about somebody who keep finding themselves in the same situation over and over and over again, and also not trying to work on it. Some examples of healthy limits to set with friends are, I care about you, but I cannot spend time with you while you're drinking. The bar is not a safe place for me right now. Or I can hang out with you on Saturdays as much as I'd like to. I meet with my sponsor on Saturdays. Some examples of limits that you may consider setting with your family members are: I don't feel comfortable discussing every detail of my recovery process with you. Just know that I'm doing well, working the steps, and truly taking care of myself. Or, I love you, but I will not be able to come home and visit until I have some more time of sobriety under my belt. Practice setting small limits first and work your way up to the big ones. 6, once you set these boundaries and you set limits, 6 is stay true to the boundaries that you have set. If someone you love is repeatedly violating boundaries that you have clearly set, you may need to consider distancing yourself. Make sure that you clearly communicate consequences. For example, I asked you multiple times not to call me in the evenings. If you continue to call me, I'm going to continue to not answer. I may even start answering even less in the daytime as well. And of course, if someone who has repeatedly crossed the line is proving detrimental to your recovery, don't be afraid to cut ties with that person altogether. And number 7 is respect others. It isn't fair to expect others to respect your personal boundaries if you fail to respect the wishes and requirements of your friends and your family members. Treat others the way that you would like to be treated. Show others the same amount of consideration and regard that you expect from them. Stop blowing. Some of us are making one person our everything. So when I call you, you my bookie, you the person I'm gonna get a loan from. I'm gonna dump all this emotional shit on you. You're my counselor. You the baker, the butcher, and the candlestick maker. Or the butcher, baker, candlestick maker, yeah. I know, you're everything. All my eggs are in one basket. The reason all your eggs not supposed to be in one basket is because even though I'm recovery Lord, even God made the universe, Saturn, Neptune, Jupiter, and on the 7th day, his ass rested. So I am allowed rest. I don't have to be therapeutic and in counseling mode 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the rest of my life. That's a tall ass order. So because I deserve rest, I can't answer every question. I can't figure every goddamn relationship out in the world. I'm talented, don't get me wrong. But damn, especially with football season coming up, I'm be watching the game. So you breaking up and getting back together for the 11th time, that's going to have to wait till Monday. If that's happening on a Saturday and Sunday, let's actually start working on these things that we have going on. Why is the same stuff that was kicking your ass in January kicking your ass now? The same stuff you was dealing with last year and it was getting the best of you in 2025 is getting the best of you in 2026 as well. Y'all got problems that y'all not working on. And when you got problems that you're not working on, that's a you problem, not a us or we type of thing. That is 100% a you problem. And the older you get, the less people care about that. When somebody is 50 and 60 years old and they talking about they didn't have a childhood, a lot less and less people, maybe people in your family care, but some people like, man, you should have been worked on that, buddy. You should have been addressed that, sister. You holding on to the same problems. And some people don't want to get better because they know the minute they get better, more is going to be expected out of them. And they don't want to do more than a little bit of shit they doing now. They only want to show responsibility here and there and want people to clap for them like they doing something special. They know the better they get, the more is going to be asked out of them. So they not getting better on purpose. They choosing to be professional patients. Good luck with that. You know, the harder it is to treat you, the harder it is it's going to be for you to get treatment. That's pretty simple. We don't got to do algebra and we don't need to know statistics to figure the mode and median and where the arc is and y equals mx plus b. We're not looking for slopes here. So get in the space of even wanting to get better and stick with that. And yes, you cannot watch 3 Recovery Lord videos and a miracle happens and oh my God, I think I'm better now. And some people, once it's time to celebrate, you know what that come with. So it's very intricate. It is up and down, in and out, round and round. You know, some of it contradicts itself. Some of it makes sense. It's back and forth. It's a lot of stuff involved in this, which is why a lot of people don't get recovery. Because I know that once you tell our people it's going to take some work, some of us get to itching. Like we got eczema and we need that pink lotion that you had to use when you had the chicken pox. And you might even break out in hives. Some of us are allergic to work, but we want a payday. But we like nice things. We want to use somebody else's nice things or want them to give it for us instead of getting it ourselves. It don't work like that. Even if it did work like that at one time, that's starting to get played out. And people that are like that and staying like that, more and more of them are experiencing homelessness because these bills high as ever. And bills don't care if you got Asperger's, ADHD, anxiety, depression. Is nobody at BG&E, which is Baltimore Gas and Electric, for those of y'all out of town who don't know. Is nobody at BG&E saying, oh, yo got depression, don't send him a bill. Yo depressed ass getting a bill. It's nobody saying, oh, he got ADHD and anxiety, don't send her a bill. She's still getting a goddamn bill. Get it together. The time is now. They even give God's house a bill. The church got a BG&E bill. And they in there talking about God. And guess what? They even get a daggone bill. So if they get the church and the mosque and the synagogue and all them a bill, you know you getting one too. So with that, you're right. We're going to hold our hands together and we're going to say, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. God bless you guys. Don't give up. Recovery is important for some of us is necessary. I say for all of us is necessary. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode of Road to Recovery. Like, comment, share, and subscribe.